Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Redneck Lifestyles. Okay, so I don't know about you guys. We watched a lot of building videos, but we haven't talked about what things to look out for when you're buying a home. I mean, you've seen us build walls, you've seen us build drywall, um, installations, demolitions, all kinds of stuff, right? And what I haven't seen creating new ideas and stuff is what to look for in a used house. Any house, big house, small house, country, city, um, old, new, different things. Might be a two-part, uh, but as well, I want Walter to weigh in on this as well, from his opinion. But from what I've learned doing construction is, if you don't know know how to look for things in a house, hire an inspector. Inspectors, it's like 100, 200, up to $500-$600. But then you have the understanding of, what am I working with here? He has an eye for things that you might not even think of. For me, when I walk into a house, I see the first thing I look at is the finish work, the baseboards, the flooring, the rug, where it meets wall to ground at the corners, the drywall. I'm looking for tape. Can I see the taping? Um, is the floor damaged? Like, you got to look at the tile. Is there crack? Is there any tile that's cracked? The baseboards where they meet at the corners, do they meet, perfect, nice and flush? All these things come into play because then you can understand if it is a tradesman who did the work or if it was a homeowner who did the work. And as you get deeper into inspecting the house, whether it's you or an inspector, you can know if it was a custom built, like built by the homeowner, on his own, and a lot of times that can turn into being they go the absolute cheapest route possible, which I do not recommend. Um, Especially with today's, materials and tradesmen, you have to go with a company you can trust, and a company that knows their material, how to install it, how to work with it, and the longevity of it. All key factors. Like, I could do one video on just drywall, with different types of drywall, the mudding, the taping, how to install it in such a way. If you do it the wrong way, you're going to have cracking, you're going to have flexing. In my house, there's a couple spots where I know it hasn't been installed properly. So this is just gonna be literally a video, just me sitting here talking a bit. But I just want you guys to understand, if you're feeling uncomfortable about it and you're not sure, get an inspector. Somebody who's a builder, call him up, get him to come take a look. Maybe he can give you a few pointers on it. And like our house, there was a house before the house we bought, and we got inspected for that house, which was a great house. So when we purchased our house, I had no experience in the construction industry. So you have to understand that we looked at it. Location was good for what we were looking for, within 3 minutes of any amenity we needed. And it was a small yard, small maintenance. It was a bigger house. There's more room. But there were things I should have noticed when I bought it. There could have been warning signs. It's still a great house to the bones. It's still a good house, but there's certain things that personal people that build their own house do that can, it doesn't take the integrity away. It just makes things frustrating in the long run. So, like, for example, there's like a couple spots where the drywall meets. I notice finishing jobs immediately when there's an issue. Some guys don't. That was kind of like my first sign. I was like, okay, well, bit of a rough installation of the drywall, no problem. And then I had renovated a room in the basement, so I opened up the wall, and then I noticed a couple things. Like, they had drilled into the joist, like 3/4 through it. from, I would say, from the top 3/4 way down to make room for a plumbing location, which was no longer there anymore because they had moved it a second time. But now you've affected the integrity of your one joist. I know you have so many other joists holding up. You'll be fine. It's a matter of, in my opinion, the full rating of that should still be there. So I took an LVL. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it's a, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like a human made, like plywood, right? It's all pressed hard together, layers, layers, layers. You have these joists that are extremely strong, and we call them LVLs. Took an LVL, slapped it on, ran some GRKs, very, very strong screws, and I mean, we're good, right? But then you open up a bit more, and then they used a garbage bag for vapor barrier, and painter's poly as vapor barrier, and it wasn't sealed. They didn't use acoustic seal or the black tar product, and just these things that kind of add up, and you go, okay, well, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. And I noticed like there wasn't a lot of air movement, so I ended up, opening a bit more of the basement up, realizing my ventilation wasn't installed properly. Long story short, we got to the end of it, got all sorted out, and now we're back to tip-top shape. I went through my house top to bottom. It's great. But just frustrating, right? Like, so many man hours I spent doing that, and you need to consider these things, and that's just on the interior. Like I said, look at how things are installed, look at the quality, and if you don't have the eye for it, get a professional to come in. Now, on the exterior of my house, I also noticed certain things many years down the road. Like anybody, right? You notice, you buy a vehicle, over the period of 2 months, you were like, wow, there's so many things I didn't notice the day I bought it. Well, yeah, that's what happens, right? The sun is just hitting me the wrong way. Bear with me here, guys. But anyways, so, man, if I had $1 for every time I said, but anyways. On the exterior of the house, when you look at soffit, fascia, and eaves trough, soffit is your belly, fascia is your front, eaves trough is your eaves trough. And you want to make sure when you look at that, you don't see 10-foot sections. 10-foot sections, meaning they cheaped out, went to Home Depot, it was installed by the homeowner again. Those things you can notice too, right? Look to see that the water, wherever the eaves trough corners off, like, yeah, just two edges of the roofs where it corners off, that there's no dripping. If there's dripping, well, there's a high possibility it wasn't installed by a professional as well. Look closely at how, in general, what I'm getting to is that shortcuts are not the best cuts. I've done the numbers, I've done it all, and you know what? You can hire a trades company to come in to do it, or you can buy the material yourself from Home Depot, pay a higher price, and do it from there. Either way, it's about the same price. But hey, if you like this video, leave a comment, subscribe, like it, share it. Stay redneck.